In today's Gospel from the 13th chapter of Matthew, Jesus responds to the growing opposition and lack of acceptance that he's facing. The people in the towns along the Sea of Galilee where he taught and cured, Chorazin, Bethsaida, Capernaum, they began to turn away from him. And then the Pharisees and the scribes, particularly the religious leaders from Jerusalem, accuse him of breaking Jewish law and being possessed by the devil. And then some of his own family come from Nazareth to take him away because they think he's out of his mind. And finally, his own disciples don't seem to understand him. So the parable of the seed and the sower is Jesus' response to a lack of acceptance, the opposition and lack of understanding he's facing. The seed gives life, but if it falls on rocky ground, Jesus says, it's eaten right away by the birds of the air. If it falls on thin soil, it fails because it has no roots. If it falls among thorns and weeds, they choke it. But if it falls on good ground, the seed produces fruit beyond anything you'd expect. So Jesus says then that the world in which he lived resisted the life he wanted to bring it. We find that hard to understand, don't we? I mean, how could it be so? How could we resist Jesus, the presence of God among us? But it will always be so. The rocky ground, that's human hardness. The thin soil, that's human superficiality. The thorns and the weeds that can choke our sense of the spiritual, they're there in every age. And it's certainly so in our age, isn't it? At the same time, God's word brings life. It falls on good soil too. Now this parable is so real. It can seem like a discouraging description of how we are before God. But if we turn to the one who sows the seed, the sower, we can see it in a different way. The sower. The sower never stops sowing the life-giving seed. That's important to remember. God never stops bestowing his grace. Robert Frost wrote a poem once called "Putting in the Seed," which describes a farmer's love affair with the earth. It's spring and it's getting dark, but the farmer keeps working his field. Someone comes from the house to fetch him home, supper's on the table. Yet he's a slave to a springtime passion for the earth. How love burns through the putting in the seed, on through the watching for that early birth, when, just as the soil tarnishes with weeds, the seedling, sturdy, comes arched body, shouldering its way, shedding the earth crumbs. Oh, is the farmer in Frost's poem an image of God, the sower, casting saving grace into our world in season and out, because he loves it so. Jesus' parable of the seed and the sower suggests that. Can we say that God the sower sows blessed seed no matter how badly our human world appears, how badly we receive it? The sower scatters the seed confidently, not afraid where it goes, on rocky ground or on soil that gives a good return. Grace is never withheld. God, who loves us so, blesses the earth and all of us. The sower still sows, and that brings us hope.